Our second story brings us to the town of Elkton, Tennessee, which has a whopping
580 residents.
It's even smaller than Belfast.
I'd say that's almost like Petersburg size or something.
We'll have to look into Petersburg's
I'll have to look at the population.
They are known for the Elk River, which brings in canoers, kayakers, fishers. There's not too much going on in this little town, except for
Pete and Pat Bondurant, which we'll go over now. Kenneth Patterson, or Pat Bondurant, was born April 4th, 1955, along with his identical twin brother, Hugh Pete Bondurant Jr. They were born from Hugh Pete Bondurant Sr. and Sydney Polly Bondurant.
So it was a generational.
Yeah, it was handed down. Sydney was his mother. They called her Polly, though. What I understand, they were both military contractors.
Tough family, then. Did they move around a lot?
Moved around a whole lot. Military brats, basically.
Gotcha.
They were both employed with Redstone Arsenal, from what I understand.
Wow.
A little bit older.
Could have been our parents.
Could have been, almost.
Somebody told me something the other day that really struck me. My daughter was saying some things that were on a little bit of morbid side.
Surprising.
And someone said, Hitler was a child once too. And now I have this nagging thought that every child is now Hitler. I'm guessing they had a
pretty
tough, stern.
A lot of people described Hugh Sr. as being loud and almost abusive towards his kids and Polly. They never had a break. It's 24/7 for them. They wore the same clothes a lot of times. They would read the same books. They would basically do everything together. People would start stuff with them. They were bigger guys. You would describe them as very large guys. To put it in perspective, in 7th grade, they were around 300 pounds.
Holy moly.
Just to put it in perspective of how big these guys were. In school, they were bullied. But you know the old adage, whatever you're bullied in school, you learn to fight back.
Right.
They learn to stick together and fight back.
Well, I imagine so. And twin power. That sounds terrible. Twin turbos.
Twin turbo.
Woo!
They stuck together. If you were fighting one of them, then you were fighting both.
Oh, that's scary.
Always.
Oh, you got 600 pounds coming at you. Woo! I couldn't imagine. That's like 2 jelly rolls coming at you. He's losing weight, however, from what I hear.
It's not fat shame.
No. He said he didn't expect to last that long, so now he is trying to last longer. We gotta cut them snack cakes out at night. Not only were they getting it pretty rough at home, they were getting it real hard at school too.
They seem to be kind of on the opposite spectrum of each other.
Right.
Pete was very talkative. He was very outgoing, very social. He was quick to speak up. Right. He was a little bit smarter and more manipulative than Pat was. Pat, in my opinion, was scarier. He was more introverted. Usually, if Pete said something or Pete wanted to do something, Pat would go along with him.
Right.
His demeanor was just so terrifying. He wore glasses, like Coke bottle glasses almost.
Listen, these poor children didn't stand a chance. They're them against the world, as far as they're concerned.
Very much so. And it was the same whenever they got out of school as well.
Yeah.
They just learned to be tougher.
Right.
When you get bullied all your life coming up in school, a lot of people learn to be tougher and they end up being more violent people because of it.
Right.
When you're brought up like that and all you see is violence in your life, say even at home with an abusive father that yells, or being at school and having classmates and peers that pick on you, start fights, make sure that your life is basically a living hell.
Right.
You can do all you want to raise a kid, but sometimes they're just going to turn out how they turn out.
Because Hitler was once a child.
Right.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
The reason why I thought Pat was just so scary to me is that he would do extremely oddball things. He was very intimidating just by his presence alone.
He would sit down with a pound of raw hamburger and shovel big handfuls into his mouth and eat it raw. I don't know whether he liked raw hamburger or not, but I think he did like the shock value.
Guess that'd be a rare hamburger. They were very strange guys. Pete was very talkative. He was really outgoing.
Like me.
Yeah, he's super intelligent guy from all accounts. Very manipulative. They carried all of this weight into their adulthood too.
I imagine so.
From being abused at home and then bullied at school, they became two mean dudes.
Were there signs?
I will say one thing that was a sign to me: they kill animals just to kill them, because it kind of quells their craving, I guess, for killing a human being.
They used to bury cats in a lawn up to their head and then run over them with a lawnmower.
Like you see with most cases, they get into illegal activities.
Absolutely.
They got into selling drugs. They were probably one of the most sought after pair of drug dealers you could find in the area.
Wow.
They could get their hands on anything for you. And Pete was a crazy guy. Let me tell you, whenever they grew up a little bit more, he left. He left Elkton, Tennessee, decided to move over to Cincinnati, I guess, to start a new life, find himself, whatever.
Pete found himself.
Yeah, he found himself out in Cincinnati.
So what did Pete find in Cincinnati?
I'll tell you what he found in Cincinnati. He found an apartment with 2 guys and 2 girls he moved into. It did well for a while, from what I understand, until one night the girls decided to go out for cigarettes. Must have been gone maybe 15, 20 minutes just to get cigarettes. They came back to the door, and Pete answers it. He's covered in blood. He's got a knife. And he tells them that, "You're next." I would not ask any more questions at this point, just to let you know, I would be gone. This would have been deuces right there. I would not have asked any more questions. No. They thought it was a joke. They thought it was a joke, really. They pushed past him, and whenever they pushed past the door, they could see a body laying on the floor with blood everywhere.
No.
And then their other roommate was gasping for air. He was severely wounded. He actually lived.
Really?
That guy. The one on the floor was already dead on arrival. He stabbed him, I think they said 47 times with a screwdriver, finished him off with a knife, and then attacked the other roommate as well.
Ooh.
The weird thing, there was never an explanation for it.
Why?
Right. For something explosive like that to happen.
Right.
That's a rage.
You know, just stab 2 guys. It's fine.
Meh.
Stab my roommate.
It's fine.
It's fine.
What's really infuriating about this case is that he was sentenced to 25 years.
Right.
Which
he should have been.
He should have been sentenced to 25 years. I would think life, honestly, and it would have avoided a lot of
murdered somebody.
Yeah, he murdered somebody.
Right.
I mean,
I would
stabbed him 47 times with a screwdriver. I would say that warrants life.
Right.
But this is something that's going to turn you guys' heads like crazy. Sentenced to 25 years, out in 5.
What?
Out in 5.
Let me guess. Prison overcrowding, or he got too old? Which one?
Prison overcrowding. Also,
see?
Due to the fact he was an out-of-state inmate as well.
Why does that matter?
It's a good question. I'm not really sure. From the research that I did, it didn't really explain why an out-of-state inmate would get out faster than an in-state inmate, but I'm guessing it's because they just don't want to deal with it.
Right. They want to send them back to Tractor Town.
Exactly. Here we go again. See?
I love you guys.
We love you guys. We're just poking fun, I promise. So they sent him back on parole after 5 years. Stabbed this dude like crazy. And he's just out on parole, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just
Yeah.
did a couple year stint and I'm out. Okay. So he gets out. Does he come back home? Do they extradite him? Is that the deal?
He goes back home to service parole.
Gotcha.
Basically.
To finish out his sentence.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, whenever he comes back, of course, he gets hooked back up with his brother. His brother and him get back to selling drugs.
Great.
They become some of the most sought after drug dealers in town because they could get anything. They had this weird farmhouse that was really secluded. They had a lot of people that came and went over there. It was always filled with people. Some people would say that they had a following that was comparable to like a Manson-like following.
Wow. So they had like a cult-like following.
They had a lot of people that were over there that were kind of dedicated. When you're selling heavy drugs like that, people tend to like you a lot more.
When you're on drugs, absolutely, you love your dealer.
Definitely.
Absolutely. That's your best friend.
So they were scary guys then.
Wow.
Since they sold drugs, they ended up being some of the scariest guys in town. People came and went from that farmhouse all the time. They had parties out there all the time that people ended up going missing. This is where our case starts to lead. It not only starts out in Cincinnati, but when it starts in Elkton, we're looking at Miss Gwen Dugger. Gwen Dugger was, by all accounts, just an all-American girl. She liked to have a good time. She was innocent enough. Brother was a mechanic. He came over to fix a car. She went with him. They all sat out drinking, smoking, fixing the car, working on it. By the time they got through fixing the car, Ken asked her if she wanted to go home, that he was ready to leave. She said that she would be fine, that she's going to stay behind. Pat assured him that he would give her a ride home later on that night. And so Ken left. Gwen stayed behind. Denise was Pat's wife.
Okay.
He had a wife for about 3 years.
Okay.
She obviously caught on to his crap. In 1986, she rolled out real quick.
I bet.
And this was the year that Gwen was killed as well. Even some law enforcement officers were scared to even say anything about the brothers because
I imagine so.
They didn't want to come up missing.
Right.
She was scared of Pat because of the things she had seen. And she was in the house.
So
there were a lot of people that were scared of them because of their demeanor. When they were together, their attitude, it's like when they come in, they're in charge. Oh gosh, don't mess with them.
I imagine that was pretty rough on her.
She was really integral, though, in solving some of the cases, especially the one of Gwen Dugger. Her brother Ken got done fixing the car for him. He said that he was ready to leave. Asked Gwen if she was ready to leave too.
Right.
She said that she would stay behind. They kept pumping her full of pills. They gave her a Valium. They also gave her something called Placidil.
Placidil. What is Placidil?
It's some kind of strong barbiturate. It used to be used as a sedative, also as an anti-anxiety medication before they had things like Xanax and clonazepam and things of that sort.
Wow.
Filled her full of that and Valium and alcohol. Obviously,
Did she die?
Out of her mind, messed up. She ended up dying, yeah.
Wow.
Not because of an OD, though.
Really?
From Denise's perspective, from what she said, Pat had told her to go start making some steaks. She said that Gwen came to assist her, but couldn't hardly stand up. She was so messed up, basically.
I imagine so.
She caught them having sex, I guess you could say. First in the bathroom, the other guys were in there talking and said that Pete was going to be first because he bought the drugs. They sexually assaulted Gwen while she was in a state where she couldn't consent or not. It's terrible. She was taken out to a barn and also tied up for quite a bit and then brought back into the house. Whenever she was brought back into the house, Denise came back. She did not realize that Gwen was so messed up. She had thought that she was willingly sleeping with Pat.
Oh, how terrible.
When she came in, she didn't know. She went to go hit the both of them, and then she noticed that Gwen was messed up.
Right.
At around that time, and I'll spare you guys the gory details because I really don't want to get into it. It was very, very disturbing to read. And I'll just say some things happened after that were terrible.
A lot of essay.
Yeah. At the end of it, Pat ended up beating her with the handle of an axe. After quite a bit of beating, Pete came in there with a .22 and shot her twice in the head to, quote, put her out of her misery. After this was done, they took the body, set it in a bathtub, dismembered it, and then took and burned it in a 55-gallon drum. Gwen was never found.
I wonder who reported that.
Denise reported that.
Oh, this is why she's crucial.
This is why she's so crucial. She had a lot of information, but she was very scared of both Pete and Pat. Especially Pat, because she was married to him. She knew
all
Pat
the
very
tea.
well.
Yeah, she knew all the tea.
Gwen suffered a fate that nobody should ever have to suffer.
Yeah.
She was never found, and it was left alone for a little bit. She died in May of 1986. So just to keep on timeline here, guys, this was in May 1986 that this happened. Skip forward, and we get to October of 1986. This right here came to a point with Mr. Ronnie Hippie Gaines. They used to call him Hippie.
Hippie.
They said that he was a great guy. He was the life of the party.
Yeah.
Very friendly guy.
Okay.
By all accounts, he was a fun guy to be around.
Fun guy.
Very fun guy.
That joke just
keeps giving. It's a great one. But Ronnie, poor Ronnie, he was out with Pat one night. Now, Pat, I should explain first. When he was married to Denise, she had a 3-year-old boy named Matthew. Now, Matthew had cerebral palsy.
Okay.
He received a Social Security check in the mail every month.
Which is important to note.
Which Pat would go and cash for them every month. If Denise ever needed money, she basically just called Pat and say, hey, I need some money for this.
Right.
Pat had the check for Matthew on him one night. And quite a bit of money in his wallet, from what I understand. And Ronnie was with him. They were both out drinking. They went to a bar and came back. Pat noticed his wallet was missing after they stopped hanging out that night. This got stuck in his head. He became convinced that Ronnie stole his wallet.
Did he?
No.
It wasn't even him.
It wasn't even him. It stuck in his head so much that one night they were all playing cards. Ronnie was caught cheating at cards.
Ooh.
Which we all know that's a big
no.
Don't do that when you're gambling. He was already mad at Ronnie. He thought he stole his wallet. And he was especially mad because it was Matthew's check as well.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew's a 3-year-old boy with cerebral palsy.
Right.
Pat, surprisingly enough, did have some empathy and was very protective of Matthew.
Yeah.
When he suspected Ronnie of stealing his wallet with the check in there as well, it made him even more enraged because it was Matthew's check.
Right.
And nobody steals from Matthew.
That's right.
When he got caught cheating at cards that night, Pat decided to get up, take a chair, and beat Ronnie with it.
Oof.
It's a small children's rocking chair, a wooden one. Just picture this. He beat him with it until there was nothing left of it except for a small piece in splinters.
Oof. They were like strong men. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to break a whole rocking chair.
Imagine an ape coming at you with a small wooden chair. And then after that, called his brother and him dismembered Ronnie, put him into a 55-gallon drum, and burned him. They had even told Denise that it took 2.5 days to burn Ronnie's body. They worked at a rubber plant, and they had to go get rubber from the plant so the fire would heat up enough to actually burn the body.
That's terrible. Wow.
They took it out to West Point, Tennessee, which was where their parents were living at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They burned the body 5 foot from the back door.
What?
5 foot from the back door.
Why so close? They're 600 pounds together. Yeah. I'm like, I ain't going 200 foot out.
Denise came out to West Point.
Right here.
Denise came out to West Point to get some money from him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When she came out there, she noticed blood on the car.
Yeah.
When she noticed the blood on the car, Pat looked at her and said, "Hey, you're entitled to 1/3 of the burial expenses."
Ooh.
And then he pointed to the smoldering pile over there and said, "That's what's left of Hippie."
Damn.
Yes.
Rip Hippie.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Hippie. Sounded like a pretty cool guy all in all.
Man, Hippie didn't even know.
He didn't deserve that. What's even more messed up, like she said, he didn't even steal the wallet. The wallet actually was dropped out of his pocket and picked up by a guy named, I'll just say Will Bass. Whenever he picked it up, the check was already endorsed. The money was in there. He took the two of them and left the wallet. Ronnie didn't steal the wallet.
Wow.
Ronnie was killed senselessly.
Wow. Did he find out that the other guy did it?
Nobody ever found out about it. What they did about it, after they burned the body, they went out to his house. They took a bunch of sheets in the bedroom, set a candle down, and lit it so they would have enough time to get out of the house before it started on fire. And they burnt the house down.
I see a common theme.
There's a very common theme here. Yeah. Obviously, they were
you burn it down.
Very good at getting rid of evidence.
Right.
They even poured Drano down the drain after chopping up Ronnie's body just to make sure there was no blood and hair left in there.
Wow.
After Ronnie passed and his house burnt down, obviously, it's a lot of attention. A lot of people wanted to know what happened to Ronnie and why his house burned down. Everybody wanted to know what happened with Ronnie. There was nobody ever found with Ronnie either.
Right.
So, nobody, no case usually. The brothers did end up getting questioned about Hippie. The brothers said that they were actually with a Miss Terry Lynn Clark.
Who's Terry Lynn Clark?
So, let's get into that. Miss Terry Lynn was Pat's girlfriend. He had a girlfriend and a wife. Can you believe that? When you look at pictures of this guy, I promise you.
He had money. Yeah, he was a little pimp.
True.
And he was intimidating. He was, I could see it. He was a pimp.
Okay. Apparently, his alibi is that he was over at the Western Lounge with her. He asked the detective to please not put it in there.
Oh.
So his wife wouldn't find out.
Please, I'll admit to the crime, but don't tell my wife I was cheating.
He didn't admit to any crime. He was using her as an alibi.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were going to set up.
Like, don't tell my wife.
Yeah.
I was here, but don't tell my wife.
Yeah, he didn't want to get in trouble at home. He was like, all right with talking about it with the police.
Right. He's like, I'll tell you what happened.
Not with the wife.
Not with the wife. Happy wife. Happy life.
This is all fine and well and good. The police wanted to speak with Terry, obviously to confirm their alibi, just to make sure they were where they said they were. They set up an appointment. They were supposed to go up there. Obviously, you know what I'm going to tell you next, which is Terry did not make it to confirm nor deny that. She mysteriously died in the house at that time. They described it as if she had overdosed. She was actually shot up with a substance called secobarbital.
Okay. What is that?
Secobarbital is a very heavy barbiturate. I don't know if you guys ever heard of like phenobarbital.
Right.
It's like a supercharged version of phenobarbital, basically.
That's insane.
He shot her up with a whole bunch of it.
Oof.
And OD'd her just so she couldn't confirm or deny the alibi.
I wonder
So
where
now-
they were getting this. These are high-powered drugs.
That's a good question. One that I probably won't get into on this episode just because...
Please don't kill us.
Yeah, please don't kill us. After killing Terry Lynn, there was no way to confirm nor deny an alibi. There were no bodies. There were basically no way to charge them. Denise, though, had witnessed a lot.
Yeah.
Denise finally got with another person. Her new boyfriend actually happened to be a police officer. He basically urged her to go up and testify against him, but she wanted to testify under the guise of her having immunity for the whole thing because she was so scared of Pat.
Right, yeah.
She witnessed a lot of things from Pat, including, you know, the murder of Gwen Dugger,
Right.
the murder of Ronnie Gaines. She pulled up on that, smoldering outside the back door.
Right.
I mean, I would be pretty scared. That's a lot to witness and be living around
Right.
and know
Right.
anytime
Yeah,
you're-
she's like a
talking
whistleblower
me up.
for sure. Yeah, that's scary stuff.
she traded immunity for it and testified against the brothers. They were arrested in 1990 and they were convicted in 1991 with murder in the first degree. Also with arson for
Right.
Ronnie Gaines' murder,
Right.
which they were tried separately for, actually. At the end of all of it, Pat ended up getting a sentence to death, which was later overturned and set to a date of 2070 as his scheduled release date.
2070.
Yes.
I don't think he's gonna
I
make it.
would say that's pretty much a death sentence right there.
I never
So,
understood people that give you like
200 years.
life plus
Yeah.
yeah
3 life sentences.
Right. It's like, what if he gets reincarnated by chance? He's got to come
He's
back
coming
and
back.
go do his time
Booking
again.
him back in.
Yeah, like how do they know?
You booked
Just-
that newborn in.
Right. Just say life. And
Yeah, just
end
say
it
life,
there.
man. That's all you need to say.
Okay, I need lawyer friends. Why did they
Please
say that?
Explain this to me.
I need to know.
The math
Why do
isn't
they
math.
say that stuff?
I don't understand it.
You got 9,000 years.
Yeah, you got like 9,000 years. He's
Right.
going to be in there till 2070, folks.
2070.
Now, Pete was a little bit luckier.
Why was
He-
Pete luckier?
He actually served 15 years.
He was the outgoing one, correct?
Yeah, he served 15 years and ended up out in 2016, the day after Christmas.
He's out now?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
he's out right now.
He says he's a changed man. You can look up his Facebook. He has a big smiling picture of him with his flannels on.
Hi, Pete. Don't
Hey,
kill
Pete.
us.
Don't kill us, man. We like you.
We're really nice to the weird kids because we were the weird kids and
Exactly.
we get it. So
Exactly.
don't kill us.
Don't kill us, Pete. That's what ended up happening in the end of it. I don't really agree with the way it ended.
No.
I don't.
I mean, like, how did one get life and the other one?
It's out.
Was
He
it
did-
overcrowding?
He did serve his time, I suppose. He was in 1990 and he got
Right.
out in 2016. So, yeah, he served 26 years.
That's
Oh,
wild.
26 years he did.
So why did he get a lesser sentence? What was his role in? I mean, why was his so light? I wonder.
It's a good question. I guess because he wasn't involved in as much in the murder of Ronnie Gaines.
Okay,
He was more involved in the disposing of the body in that.
got you. So
No.
he was more of an accessory than
Yeah,
the
Accessory
actual
after the fact.
murderer.
yeah.
Got you.
Pat got arson and that as well.
Got you.
Yeah, 'cause he actually burned down the house and everything.
He wouldn't have even murdered Ronnie.
I mean, this would have happened before, didn't it?
Right. If he had gotten, like, what are y'all doing in Cincinnati? Come on.
5 years?
We're sending people to Old Sparky.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you just absolutely need to kill somebody, go to Cincinnati, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Or Miami.
Miami.
We keep talking about Miami. 2 days. 2 days you'll be out.
You can cap somebody right in the middle of the street.
Oh, wow.
I don't agree with the judgment at all. At the end of the day, I think that if you kill people, you should be in jail for life. I don't think that you should get out. I don't think you should get a second chance after you kill people, especially in that kind of manner, such an egregious way.
Right. Unless there were better laws in place for this, or there was an exception to the rule where he was able to stay in place because he was such a violent criminal. And I wonder if he had a record before all of that.
I have not found any indication of that I know of. All I can really find is this story.
Right.
It's mysterious. It's something we'll never know.
Right.
Because it's not anywhere I can find it. If you guys find it, please send it to me. I'd love to see, like, if there was something that people could have saw and really prevented, other than the murder that he got let out 5 years after. I think that was kind of...
That's insane to me to even think. Yeah, 5 years for murder. That's insane. He was just, here you go.
Yeah.
5 years. There you go. Have fun.
No worries.
Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
You're a changed man. I really hope you are a changed man if you're watching. Too. We're terrified. The moral of this story is be nice.
Be nice.
Just be nice.
And if you work in the court system or in the judicial system, if you see somebody that has murdered somebody in a very violent way, especially, please report it. Let them out of prison too.
So we will see you next week, 7 p.m. Wednesday.
Yes.
Be ready for our new episode. Bye. Love watching you do things you love.